was living a lie. In the darkness, I was scared of the light. With no direction, I was running away. Step aside, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the
ride. Family Innocence has done 2 amicus briefs. And those are friend of the court briefs for the Supreme Court. Maybe we've done 3. I don't know. I've lost track. I've written them all. I've spent hours and hours just toiling. But this was a gentleman who was in prison for non-payment of child support. Okay. And when we saw the video earlier about restoratives in prisons, there are people that don't pay child support that go to jail. There are people that want to talk and are stopped from talking or violate civil court orders, and they go to jail. So we are in a debtor's prison right now. Debtor's prison was abolished a long time ago, and so with Larry's case, Larry wasn't my client. Get this, okay? I saw his case coming down, and Debbie, my paralegal at the time, would always say, "Michelle, look at this poor guy. Michelle, look at this case." And I'd be like, oh, do I even have time for this? So I took it on. You have to do all kinds of rigmarole to even do an amicus brief. It's not like I need permission, basically, to do it, and I did it. And what came to me is debtor's prison. Larry was old. He was in his 70s. He still owed child support from and his kids were in their 50s. And the statutes, the criminal statute said that non-payment of child support, there was criminal statute. And it was more like not supporting your child with necessities. So he was arguing that, I didn't pay the money, but I was actually supporting my children with necessities. And he was just not even a fighter. I mean, it was amazing how he wasn't even fighting. But anyway, so because of this criminal matter, he got an attorney, a really good attorney, to defend him and take his case to court, and he lost. So it was going to the Supreme Court, which is really hard to get into. And so ultimately, I went down there and I talked about debtor's prison and I realized, oh my God, this is debtor's prison. See, I didn't know. It isn't like I thought, oh, that's debtor's prison. I didn't even know what debtor's prison was. And it had been outlawed years ago, and it's debtor's prison when you don't pay a debt and you go to jail. And in child support, if you don't pay, you go to jail, and then you come out of jail and you don't have a job. So it's not even punishment. Like you should go to jail. Oh, I've been punished. Now I don't have to pay the child support anymore because I've been punished. No, it used to be for just, they call it to incentivize. Incentivize? Am I saying that right? To give you incentive to pay, you might go to jail, but they never put you in jail. But now it's really the state coming in, they do put you in jail. I've been around long enough where we didn't have withholding of child support like we talked about in the piece. That you were just paying checks, and people were appalled. You would only withhold child support if they were not paying, and people were appalled and embarrassed if it got taken out of their check. And then over time, it started to be a very convenient way. People started to see it as convenience. And then it's taken out of your check no matter what your job circumstances. And then if you don't pay it, like you lose your job and can't pay it because it's already taken out of your check if you have a job. It used to be that you would have to really prove that somebody was intentionally not paying it, like intentionally had all kinds of money stashed away. But now you don't have to do that. They don't pay, they're prosecuted. They don't pay, they go to jail. This is our system. And I like to say, I've said this, it's so true, that I have had not one person come into my office whose child has not been supported with a home, the basic necessities of life, which are food and clothing, education, which usually is free, right? And health care. And what I mean by health care is you skin your knee, the parent's going to help you out. That kind of health care. There might be some, not health insurance. Not one. Even if the child was living with the dad in a apartment, or mom was living with her mother when they were separated, or they were, not. So they were eating. There was clothing. I have never had a case where the child were not being supported with those basic things. But what we rob children of is the love and companionship of their parents. We do. When I adopted our children, we had to agree, and we got a little piece of paper afterwards that they were ours, that we would supply them with a home, all the necessities of life, education, health care, and love and companionship. So I knew that's child support, the love and companionship. They didn't say, and also make sure all your bills are paid. It doesn't happen. And I passed that book around just to show you that these laws do not apply to us until we, prosecute the other parent. So Larry, I was meeting him for the first time. He was kind of a hermit, as you can see. Now we're friends. He's come to a couple of events, but I was meeting him for the first time. I had written this brief, and we did win the case, by the way. The good side won. But unfortunately, what they did then is they modified the statute to say that, no, it's only money. So, yeah. So we won. Yay! So child support isn't just money. And they go and they modify the statute to make it only money. So now he would go back to jail again. And he's gotten all his child support taken care of and all of that. It's all disappeared. So.
Our speaker tonight is Kimberly Hanlon. Kimberly Hanlon is like a godsend to Family Innocence. I met her at a bar event, and by bar event, I always tease. She's laughing.
It wasn't a bar. But it wasn't a bar. It was a bar event at the bar.
Okay, a bar event at the bar. She is a lawyer. You know how they call us lawyers, we go to the bar. And she heard about what I was doing, eliminating court for families. And she was an attorney, and she practices in both Minnesota and what's the other state? Oklahoma. And she just eliminated family law in her practice. She just said, I can't do it anymore. And when she learned that I was trying to eliminate it, court for families, litigating family matters, all together with Family Innocence, she climbed right on board, came to those early meetings at my house, and she is an excellent attorney. She's also a founding member of Family Innocence. Without further ado, Kimberly Hanlon's going to talk today about kids protection plans. So let's give a big round of applause.
Thank you. One of the reasons why I stopped doing family law is because I noticed that the family court system was not healthy for families. Families would enter the system, and based on that, families would get basically chewed up and spit out. And it got harder and harder for me to participate in a system that does that for families. I really have a commitment that people have autonomy, and they know what is right for them and their families, and that they are empowered to make decisions for themselves and their families without court intervention. or with minimal court intervention. I came across this idea, and I don't know why I didn't think about it before. But the idea is parents know that they need to nominate guardians in their wills. I mean, doesn't everybody know that? Generally, I see a lot of nodding heads. Yeah, people know that. Something that people don't think about, and I didn't think about it, and when I share this with people, even other attorneys go, "Oh!" Even they didn't think about it. There's one more step that you need to think about doing, and I'm here to share that step with you and give you a resource that you can put this in place for yourself. So here's the scenario. Parents go out. Maybe they're out at work. Maybe they're out on a date night. But they're out. And the kids are, let's say, with a babysitter. And the parents say to the babysitter, "Here's my cell phone number. If you need anything, call my cell phone. But if you can't reach me, then you can call Mary next door. Here's her number, and she'll come over and help you." So let's say while the parents are out, something happens. Maybe they're in a car accident. Maybe they're killed. Maybe they're incapacitated. But either way, that day, they're not coming home. And I know that's a horrible thing to think about. But let's think about what happens then. So the babysitter is sitting at home with the kids, and they have a cell phone number. How long does the babysitter wait not being able to reach you? What do you think? 11 o'clock? Midnight? 1 a.m.? Like, how long does the babysitter wait? So let's say the babysitter calls Mary. And Mary says, "Wow, that's not like them. Something's up. That is so not like them." And Mary comes over. How long does Mary wait? 8 a.m.? 9 a.m.? When Mary is freaking out, who does Mary call? I'm guessing that Mary doesn't know the people that you know in your life. So like maybe you would say, "Oh, I would want Mary to call my sister." But Mary doesn't know your sister. So who does Mary call? The police. Mary calls the police. And when the police come, what do the police have the authority to do? To take the kids. And do the police have the authority to take the kids to your sister's house? No. There's one thing and one thing only that the police have the authority to do, and that is to take the kids into Child Protective Services, otherwise known as foster care. Mom and Dad aren't coming home, we don't know why, and now we have to go live with strangers until a judge can sort it out so we can go stay with people that we know and love and trust. There is something that parents can do, and that is to nominate an emergency guardian. You nominate that emergency guardian, and you give instructions to your babysitter. And you give the instructions to your emergency guardian. Now that emergency guardian doesn't have to be the long-term guardian. It doesn't have to be the same person that you named in your will. It needs to be somebody who lives within 20 minutes of your house. Why 20 minutes? Well, let's see. When the babysitter freaks out, or when Mary freaks out, and calls the police, and the police come, how long do you think it takes for them to walk in the door, size up the situation, tell the kids, pack your PJs and toothbrush, and get them in the back of the car? Once the kids are in the squad car, it's a harder, much harder thing to be able to intervene. As soon as you have a temporary guardian, and you have the mechanism already in place, that's the message that I am sharing with families. And I have some parents' guides on how to do that, and I have a website where you can go and get the forms and fill them out and do the nomination and put it all together for yourself.
Here's another one. So for those of you just joining us, we did an amicus brief, and the lawyers are joining us for family innocence, and then I learned there was debtor's prison, And we're doing child support today, so it seemed appropriate to show that video of Larry coming to our event. This wasn't really about child support in Ben's case. This is Ben, not Benedictus, but Ben. I learned from a mediator so much. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm sitting in this was, I think family innocence existed, but I'm sitting with the mediator, and Ben and his wife, he's a pilot. So he has a crazy schedule, and then I'm representing Ben, and then a large firm was representing the mom. And we're sitting in my office, the mediator came, and then they agreed, the two of them agreed to joint physical custody. So I'm just like, oh, let's get it down, and the other attorney's like, well, yeah, he can give him his schedule every week, every month, and then we'll see when the kids are going to be with her and when they're going to be with him. And so we started in on this, oh my God, this is very complicated. And the mediator said, well, they're just going to do joint physical custody. And they go, oh yeah, we're just going to do that. And I'm like, I whispered to the mediator. I remember being at my desk going, don't we have to put this in writing? Like, put it down? And he's like, well, oh, you want to put it down? So then he wrote joint physical custody 50-50. And then, they both signed it. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, is this going to work out? I mean, how? And they both did it. They did it. That was it. They did it. So I'm just like, I learned that people can do what they say they're going to do. So, and Ben, he seems to, he has other issues going on, and I'm not remembering this video, but it's one of the better ones that have gotten more response, because he's pretty awesome, and he had some great things to say about like staying out of court.
Ben, I met a few years ago when he came into my office, having been served with divorce papers after how many years of marriage? 21 years of marriage, in a state of shock about the situation. 2 children that were teenagers.
So got into the process, and as she alluded to, and I got to give Gabe credit for this one, if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. So it is actually very serious business on this whole operation. And the Family Innocence Project, the nonprofit dedicated to keeping families out of court. And the only thing I can think of is, in talking to Debbie, the system is broken. And just the whole system is designed, and many law firms are designed just to grind the system or to provide friction, and the friction provides billable hours. And the only thing that gets broke is the parents' wallets. And it creates animosity and friction and actually hate. And that spills down to the kids, so I don't see anything really good about the whole process. So I try to figure out why the system was broken. And it's kind of, what I figure is this kind of based on fear. And we're kind of fighting for your life or fighting for your kids, and everyone kind of gets down to that primal instinct. And especially the case of my ex's law firm, generated a lot of money, and I think the only thing funny is when they wanted us to pay, or they wanted me to pay several thousands of dollars of her costs. They were generating, I think it was Debbie, I don't think her attorney had another client, because they were sending stuff by the minute, and every time that they came across, you might as well throw a $100 bill out the window. What it comes down to, the primal instinct of fear, which is kind of fueled by the process. And if we evolve as humans, the system should evolve. And what I got from the fear thing is, I stole this from a gal named Tara Branch. And she described it like that: this is your brainstem and your cortex. It's kind of a one-way street. And she described it as either fight or flight. And if you're fighting for your life, there's only 2 answers. And then what she proposed, and this might be part of the process, is I kind of ran this by Michelle, but it's been kind of crazy for both of us here lately. She took that same brain stem and closed her hand. So you've got a process where you evolve, and instead of fight or flight, she called it amend and befriend. And if we can evolve as humans, I think the court system can evolve as well. The other thing I kind of noticed, and I've heard this before at church a long time ago, you kind of give up because everything's broken. It's so big you can't fix it. But if you can just fix your little part, you can make a difference. If you look over history, the big paradigm shifts of history weren't done by a huge group. They're usually done by one person. You know, Gandhi comes to mind. I wrote a couple of them down here, but I can't even read my own writing. Sir Isaac Newton. What I wrote down here is we want to move from the fight or flight, the anger, the aggrieved, the obsessed, the fighting, to more an awareness, a kindness, a spirituality, if you will, for who's right and who's wrong, and they're the enemy, to more of a mediated kind of settlement. Again, I kind of took something from a Jesuit priest. His name is Anthony de Mello, and he's a Jesuit priest of Indian descent. He's kind of mixed Catholicism and the ancient arts. And I kind of took something from him, and the client came out. This is the client, but the visitor came in and said, "My life is like broken glass, and my soul is filled with evil. Is there any hope for me?" And yes, said the master, there's something where each broken thing is born again and every piece made clear. And the client said, "What is that?" And the master said, "Forgiveness." And the client said, "Who do we forgive?" And the answer was, everyone. Life, God, your spouse, and especially yourself. And the client asked, "Well, how is that done?" And the answer he gave was by understanding that no one is to blame. No one. So I think that's what we're kind of trying to do here, is take the blame and the finger pointing. When people point fingers, they point it at someone else, and sometimes we need to point it at ourselves. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. So, Michelle said I only had to do 4 sentences. So, hi, my name is Ben Dieterman. Welcome to Wildcats.
Thank you, Ben Dieterman, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm leaving.
Is that binding then?
No, screw this. I'm going to go to a lawyer.
Follow her. Do your circle thing.
The beauty of this process is the dialogue.
The simpler and the most particular, the better.
That bike is sexy. Growing up, I was living a lie. In the darkness, I was scared of the light. With no direction, I was running away. I tried to cover that I'm losing my mind. Now it's over. I wonder, yeah. A new beginning, it's a new way of life. Another chapter, why not give it a try? This hopeful journey needs an open mind to discover the treasure inside. Now I'm sober. It's summer, yeah. Never see the truth until you look past the lies. Mother Nature is waiting for you to arrive. Step outside, step outside, enjoy the ride. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do, 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 do. La, 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 la. Enjoy the ride.
So, Michelle is going to leave us with the Family Innocence theme song. We know it's going to be catching on everywhere. So, take it away, Michelle.
And I won't have my husband Tom sing with me this time.
You guys are all blessed.
Okay. Camera. Start spreading the bird, beginning today. We want to be no part of it, the family court. The bird is the word. It's flying away to make a brand new start of it. No family court. We want to wake up in a household where we can sleep instead of fearing a judge ready to peep. These family court blows are melting away. We will get to the heart of it with no delay. If we can do it here, we'll do it everywhere. No family court, no family court. One more line. If it is not a crime, we are not doing time in family court. No